Hello everyone. This presentation is about web scraping from public API. So, the first slide is Introduction to Web Scraping. Web scraping is the process of extracting data from websites by automating the process of visiting a website and collecting its content. The purpose of web scraping is to gather information from various sources on the internet and transform it into structured data that can be analyzed, processed, and used in a variety of applications. Involves using software tools to crawl through web pages and extract relevant information, such as text, images, and other data. This data can then be used for a variety of purposes, such as market research, data analysis, and content creation. Next is an introduction to public APIs. An API or application programming interface is a set of protocols, routines, and tools for building software and applications. A public API allows access to data and functionality of a web based software applications for external users. The purpose of public APIs is to enable developers to access and integrate the functionality and data of the web application into their own projects. Advantages of using APIs for data extraction include the ability to retrieve data in a more structured and organized way, as well as the ability to automate the process of data retrieval. Additionally, APIs can provide access to a large and more diverse range of data sources, allowing for more comprehensive analysis and insights. Using APIs can also improve the speed and efficiency of data retrieval compared to the manual web scraping methods. Differences between web scraping and APIs. Web scraping and APIs are both methods for extracting data from websites, but there are some key differences between the two. Web scraping involves automatically accessing a website's HTML code and extracting relevant data from it. This method can be useful for extracting data from websites that do not have APIs or for extracting data in a specific format that is not available through an API. However, web scraping can also be more time consuming and prone to errors compared to using APIs, as it often requires writing custom codes to handle different types of web pages and data structures. APIs, on the other hand, provide a defined and standardized way of accessing a web application's data and functionality. APIs typically provide more reliable and structured data than web scraping, and they can be accessed programmatically, making it easier to automate the data retrieval process. However, not all websites have APIs, and in some cases, access to an API may be restricted or limited. Use cases for web scraping include extracting data from websites that do not have APIs, or for extracting data in a specific format that is not available through an API. Web scraping is also useful for data scraping of legacy or older websites that may not have APIs or modern web development practices. APIs are ideal for extracting data from web applications that have a large amount of structured data, such as e-commerce sites, social media platforms, and news websites. APIs are also useful for extracting real-time data, as they can be quickly and easily integrated into the applications and systems. In summary, the choice between web scraping and APIs for data extraction depends on the specific use case and the availability of APIs for the desired data source. Both methods have their pros and cons, and it is often useful to use a combination of both techniques for maximum efficiency and flexibility. Next, I will show you how to use public APIs for web scraping. Using public APIs for web scraping includes several steps. First one is finding APIs. The first step is to find a public API that provide access to the data you need. There are many resources available for finding public APIs, such as websites that catalog APIs, API directories, and search engines. The second step is registering and obtaining API keys. Many APIs require registration and the provision of an API key in order to access the data. This is often a simple process that involves creating an account and requesting an API key from the API provided. Coming to the third step, it is making API calls. Once you have an API key, you can make API calls to retrieve data from the API. This typically involves sending an HTTP request to the API endpoint and specifying the desired data in the request. And finally, the fourth step is parsing API responses. The API will respond with the data in a specific format, such as JSON or XML. You will need to parse the response to extract the desired data and convert it into a more usable format, such as Pandas data frame or a CSV file. It is important to note that while uh, using APIs can simplify, simplify the process of extracting data compared to web scraping. There may still be challenges in working with APIs, such as handling rate limits, understanding API documentation, and dealing with API errors. Additionally, some APIs may limit the amount of data you can retrieve or the frequency of API calls, so it is important to review the API's terms of services before using it for web scraping. Now, I will show you how to get Twitter API. First, you need to create a Twitter developer account. Go to the website developer.twitter.com, sign up by giving details of the user, and agree to the terms of services. Creating Twitter API project. Once approved, name your app or project. Click on Get Keys. Then we will have an API key, an API key secret, and a bearer token. Now, get your access token and secret. To use 2EP, you will also need your access tokens and secrets. So, click on Skip to Dashboard, generate access tokens and secret. Then you need to set permissions to read and post. To be able to post to Twitter, you will need the read and write access. So, under the app name, go to settings and then app permissions. Edit the application permissions for your need. You can also create an elevated account. The developer account only gives you access to some basic features of the API. If you want to collect data using this API, then we need to create an elevated account. Then, collecting data using Tweepy. We can use the Python library Tweepy to access API keys to retrieve different tweets and convert it into a CSV file for further processing. So, these steps are involved in getting a Twitter API. There are numerous popular sites with public APIs that allow developers to access and integrate their data into their own applications. Here are some examples. First one is Facebook, Google Map, GitHub, Instagram, Open Weather Map, Reddit, and Wikipedia. Best practices for web scraping using APIs. When using APIs for web scraping, it is important to follow best practices to ensure the success of your project and avoid any legal or ethical issues. First one is API rate limits. Most APIs have limits on the number of API calls that can be made within a specified time period. It is important to understand and respect these limits, as making too many API calls in a short period of time can result in your IP address being blocked or your API key being revoked. Data privacy and security. When extracting data from APIs, it is important to be mindful of privacy and security concerns. This includes respecting the terms of conditions of APIs and not extracting any sensitive or personal information. And the third one is legal issues. Web scraping and the use of APIs may be governed by local and international laws. such as data protection laws, intellectual property laws, and computer misuse laws. It is important to understand the legal implications of web scraping and APIs and to ensure that your use of APIs compiles with relevant laws and regulations. By following these best practices, you can ensure that your web scraping project uses API in a successful, efficient, and ethical way. Future of web scraping and APIs. The future of web scraping and APIs is expected to continue to evolve as technology advances and the demand for data increases. Increased automation. The use of machine learning and artificial intelligence is likely to increase the automation of web scraping and API use, making the process of extracting data faster and more efficient. Improved data security. As privacy and security concerns become more prominent, it is expected that APIs and web scraping techniques will become more secure with stronger measures to protect against data breaches and unauthorized access to data. Growth of the API economy. The growth of the API economy, driven by the increasing demand for data and the use of APIs in a very variety of industries, is expected to continue in the future. Increased use of APIs in the new industries. More industries adopt digital technologies. The use of APIs is likely to increase in sectors such as healthcare, finance, and energy. More regulations and restrictions. As the use of web scraping and APIs continue to grow, it is expected that there will be increased regulations and restrictions, particularly around data privacy and security. Here, I am concluding this presentation. Thank you.